This podcast is powered by Masterpiece Kingdom Brands. This episode is brought to you by serveyoucare.co.uk. Hi everyone, thank you for joining us, and today we're joined by the amazing Juliette Bush, all the way from the US of A, and it's a honor for me to have her on the show. And Jules, would you say hi to our listeners?
Hi, everybody.
Yes. Hi, Jules. Welcome to this podcast. And there's no better way to actually start the season than have you on the show. I think it's been very inspiring to watch your journey. For those who are not familiar with you, can you please just share a little bit of who you are and what you do and how you became an entrepreneur?
Yes. Again, thank you for the introduction. My name is Juliette. Many people call me Jules. I don't mind either one. I started to become an entrepreneur actually, like when I would say in high school, I would sell candy. I would get like the bulk candy from like Sam's, Costco. It's like wholesale places. And I would like flip the candy bars. I would have them like in class and all that. So it was something that was in me in regards to entrepreneurship and selling. Had like a keen eye on that, and just kind of like the awareness and drive, to really do things.
Yeah. Okay. So from a very young age, you were selling like candy bars. And how did you ever imagine that you'd become a business owner, or was it just for fun?
Yeah, so it never was like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, and all that. So actually, one of my passions is dance. I love to dance. And yeah, so I was like, yeah, I want to be a dancer. And but beyond that, yeah, I went to college. I graduated from college. I was like, I thought I was going to be in corporate, and I was being like denied of all interviews. And I'm like, and I honestly felt like too, like, hey, I have more experience than this person, or I kind of felt like I could do a better job, and still, I was being denied. And a lot of times, when God is shutting things down, you might feel discouraged, but He literally had something beyond, what I could have thought or imagined, because if I would have, received positions for what I thought I wanted, and nothing was wrong with that, I would have been content. I wouldn't have, branched out, and done other things. And then from there, I was presented a flight attendant position to Dubai, working with Emirates. I've never heard of Dubai, never heard of Emirates, but I didn't have a job at the time. So I applied, and that's where my, you know, passion call to travel the world started when I moved to Dubai. And so I would not have even went for that opportunity if I had what I thought I wanted. And then from Dubai, I moved to Cape Town, South Africa, which I never heard of Cape Town before. It was one of our destinations. Okay. And yeah, and that's where God, gave me Brave by Faith, which is I'm doing today. But it started off in Cape Town, but it was a journey. So it's kind of like what I'm doing now evolved from then. So it wasn't like everything just happened at one time. So yeah, like everything, it's called Brave by Faith. I'm literally in the unknown, taking it, day by day and obeying God. So he's like the CEO, if you would say, of the business, and he really takes care of things. So, as a CEO, you are financing the business, you're making sure things run and all that. So that's his responsibility. So even when I started, I put out funds by faith, that people will show up, like when we did trips and retreats. But it all started off with community. And I didn't have a business plan or anything like that. So it just started off with one thing at a time. And then, God gave me the next thing and evolved to the next. And then, you know, you hear people like, yeah, you start with this and you do this. And it's like, I did kind of like per se the blueprint of what you're supposed to do, like when you start a business, but I had no idea. I was just following the Holy Spirit. Like, but then,
That's
I hear
amazing.
people who have also have like, multi-million dollar companies and they're like, yeah, this is how you're supposed to start. And then you do this and you do that. So I was doing all of those things. I just didn't have the terminology for it. And I'm just like, wow, like God gave me like a blueprint and that's kind of like, you know, what you're supposed to do in a sense. Yeah, but I didn't I didn't take a course on this or anything like that. So
Jules, I'm just a little curious because um, when you moved to South Africa, I remember back then, by the way, we met in South Africa, and it was actually one of Jules' blog posts that encouraged me to also step out in faith and be in South Africa. And that itself is a miraculous story. But I am just really curious. Like, you seem to be like a very, very strong person, but have you ever felt afraid of pursuing something that's very, very unknown? Because a lot of the people don't take the first step simply because they're afraid. And I mean, you're this you have big dreams and you seem to be very fearless. How were you ever scared when you started?
oh, absolutely, 100%. When I first started, and I really felt led to move to Cape Town at a certain time, a certain year. And I didn't do it because I'm like, oh, what are people going to think of me? Because at this time, I was an international flight attendant. And it's like, I'm moving somewhere. So in Cape Town, we're a part of a leadership development program there. And we're volunteering, we're serving, working in ministry for free, doing different initiatives, which is wonderful. And it's exactly what I wanted to do. But in regards to the outward appearance of it all, it's kind of like this girl's going to house. And at that time, I couldn't really articulate kind of like my relationship like with God. So, nowadays people know the language and all that, but no one was stepping out in faith. Like people would step out in faith and move to California to become a model. They would move to New York to be an actress, but no one was like, I'm moving to this place because, to follow what God has for me. People be like, are you sure? Like, so
Yeah.
and yeah, so absolutely. And so since I cared more about other people's opinions and what they thought of me, I was like, okay, well, let me save up. I'm going to stay in Dubai for another year because, like, rationalizing it sounds smart. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Stay for another year, then move to Cape Town. So when people ask me, it's like, yeah, I saved up money and that's how I'm able to do this and everything's going to work out. And so that's what I did. But it's like when God tells you to go, go, because the grace was like lifted from where I was. And it was like the worst year for me. Like I loved my job and I'm just like, but God is the one who gave me favor. And he even opened that door for me. So I was idolizing it. And at the end of the year, I had less money than when he.
Really? So you were struggling in that year that you were trying to prepare for the move.
Yes, absolutely. So I was scared to move in the exact date that the Lord was putting on my heart to go. So that was the first thing of not doing it. And then that entire year, it was a struggle, like even getting there because it was just getting, more challenging and more challenging. And so when it's time to go, it's like I had less money than when he initially told me to go. And, the Lord was telling me, like, if I would have, saved up all the money, had all this money, like, yeah, when people ask me, like, how'd you do it? It's like, yeah, I saved. So the glory is on me. It's about what I did. And
Mm.
so I literally, when I moved to Cape Town, The Lord told me not to fundraise, not to ask people for money. Just as He put it on my heart to go, He would put it on other people's heart to support me. And that's literally what happened. It was like miraculous. And there's nothing wrong with fundraising, but that's specifically what He told me to do. So fundraising is very easy for me. And that's what I was doing before. Like I would go to Kenya, fundraise for like different orphanages and things like that. So it's a joy. So this was, another strength and challenge for me to do, like a step above. So, and it really shows like, wow.
Wow. And since then, when you in your time in Cape Town, it was where Brave by Faith Travel was born, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Brave by Faith started like how you're saying. So I had a blog. So I had a blog when I was flight attendant. And so when the year of delay happened, I was like, you know what? I'm not afraid now to share. Because before, like I was saying, I was sugarcoating it. It was like I was sugarcoating it. I was saying I was moving to Cape Town. I was working there, but I wasn't saying, oh yeah, I'm going to volunteer this, that, and the third. So I put it in the blog, like this time I don't care what people think. I put it all out. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm moving to Cape Town. I'm not getting paid. I don't have a plan B, C, D, or something like that. So, and it's like usually people don't share things until the end because they want to make sure.
It was successful.
Exactly, absolutely. And so, the Lord was telling me to share in the beginning so that way people will believe. And so I was documenting, this entire time, me stepping out, and all. And then that led, 7 people I didn't know across like 3 different countries to move to Cape Town the next year to do the same program. And so I'm just like, wow, if that happened, imagine if other people shared, their testimonies and experiences of following God, of stepping out in faith. And that's how Brave by Faith started, with community of people sharing their stories and being inspired. Because it wasn't just about me. It's like, wow. And even how I even started, because I honestly wish that I would have been so encouraged if I saw other people's stories of like stepping out in faith in big ways. And so it's like, even when I was writing the blog post, it's as if I was talking to myself and like encouraging, myself and, being real out there. So
That's so cool. Yeah, it's so true. I remember I read a post back then about your accommodation, and it was also in this time I was sort of like figuring out if I'm really gonna go to Cape Town or not. And when I read that post, I said to myself like God, like if she can do it, really, I think I can do it. So thank you for that, that post, because it really gave me encouragement in terms of like pursuing what God also placed on my heart. And then I remember even the first when I walked into that Sunday, and I think the day before that, I saw a post of you. I saw your Instagram post that you have packed your bags for somewhere. But then I could have never thought that I would still find you in Cape Town. So when I saw you, I was just like so shocked. I'm like, that's actually the one who wrote that blog, and like it was really cool. So and then the rest is really history, and how you've managed to navigate the season of volunteering, and it's always very inspiring to see you put your foot one step in front, just in faith, and it's real, and that's what I love about it. Jules, I'm also just a little bit curious, and what made you finally decide to sort of like really, I would say, like professionalize, if that's the term, or establish the brand or your business from being that like community where you're passionate from, and then when was the moment where you realized that, hey, this can become more and bigger through a business?
yeah, through the demand. So actually, it really happened supernaturally. So I made an Instagram post just sharing a throwback of me flying to Rome. And I'm like, you don't have to be in a relationship to fly to a romantic destination. Like, start living your best life now and all that. And people were like, how do you do it? And I thought to myself, let me put together a group trip. And I did Dubai because I wanted it to be an authentic experience. I put down, a deposit to a penthouse accommodation, not knowing if anyone would show up. And yeah, and that's how it started. And we had like 100 people on a wait list. And yeah, so it just really just happened. And, through that experience, we even, implementing or executing it, it's something that I did already naturally. And this is through when I lived in Dubai, I would host people. Even like when I was college, I would host people in Cape Town, South Africa. I was in charge of the international volunteers with our organization and hosting them. I would have friends come, have gifts on the bed. Even in Dubai, I had a huge birthday and organized everything. So this is something that I did already. So it's just kind of like, don't underestimate the gifts that God has given you. And through that trip, I actually, with Brave by Faith Travel, which is the travel business, it actually started, I was actually working. I had a full-time job, and I quit that job before the first trip happened. It's like, even with that, to do it, like I put in my notice before the first trip happened to do it, to roll it out and do it full time. So yeah, and it really, the business really goes from faith to faith. But I would have to say, like, the success of it is from giving, giving to the poor and paying our tithes. So even as a business, that's what we do.
Wow, that's incredible. And you have, how many destinations so far have you hosted already in the past?
It's been like 12 because it started 2018. So, and then we stopped. Well, we never really stopped, but more so in 2020 when COVID happened. We had a few trips at the beginning of that year, and then we did another trip the following year to Mexico, and then we had more like local trips and brunches and things like that. Yeah, I know we've done like over 12 or something like that.
Wow.
But altogether, we've done like 45 retreats.
Wow, 45 retreats all over the world. That is incredible. It sounds unreal, but it is so real. And I remember I was even in a few of those retreats in South Africa. And
that's when it started.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that time, I was like, also like, what is this going? What is really happening here? And by then I knew it was gonna be something really very, very special. Yeah, I just have like 2 or 3 more questions. You mentioned earlier, and that was very interesting because I know as a kingdom entrepreneur, we say this, but you said it very well, that you said that God is your CEO. And by definition, the CEO is actually, responsible for the operations of it. How does that practically look like? Because it feels like, oh, she's just saying that it's the CEO. But I know you personally, and I know you have stories of why you believe in that. And can you please like share like a story or two of like explaining why you strongly believe that God is the CEO of this business?
I would fly to destinations beforehand, like to plan it out. I would go there and like meet people who are like in charge of the country, like just so by happenstance, like meeting, I'm in a co-working area and I'm talking to someone and like, yeah, like I know everyone. And so just kind of like he ordainedly connects, like he sets up meetings for me. Like, it's really like, wow. And the experiences, that we have, it's like things that you can't like look up. So it's not something that I'm like, okay, well, this is what, I would like to have. It's like he's connecting me with people who are able to give, a hidden gem experience. And it really, you know, magnifies kind of like who God is, because he's one of a kind, he's unique, and he really transforms us from the inside out, which he mirrors on the trips. So it has nothing to do with me or the team. We are partners with the Holy Spirit to be able to implement what he wants to do, like to steward that. But as far as the transformation, what happens, we actually had an attendee who came and she just started crying like in the lobby, because she just kind of like felt the presence, and all of that. So it's truly amazing. And so even with the name Brave by Faith, there's girls who come, it's their first time coming to the country. It's their first time, like maybe stay, in a hotel, first time flying on a plane, and so God has even supernaturally provided for people financially.
Wow.
Even to come. And it's a great just community and sisterhood, because it's very encouraging and sharpening to have a community of believers who are just really radical in regards to believing without saying at things in their life. So that goes with everything. So even with their own personal ventures, and maybe business opportunities or whatever the case is, because we often only believe things based on our exposure. And so if you're not really exposed to like, okay, well, God's doing this and like this level and all that, you're not going to necessarily believe it for yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like what has come through of the women coming is just like many have like moved, have done things that they've always wanted to do. And it gave them that leverage to be like, yes, I'm going after it. Like, this is normal now.
Wow, that's incredible. That's it. Hey, like the strategy is really a scripture. It's how important is the faith in the business. And do you think that do you think that like doing business with this kind of faith makes like business sense? Because sometimes I feel like when when you start a business, you start to like the normal way is always thinking of the profit. Like that's a default, like how much profit would somebody gain. But in your story, it seems like it wasn't
It
even
wasn't about profit. Yes.
yeah. So how do you reconcile that?
Yeah. And so it's just, I look up, 'cause I'm just like, even, I think it was the first retreat, that we did in Cape Town, and in we did 4 trips. It was like back to back, and even how I priced it too, because people were like, "Oh, you should charge more." This, that, and the third, but I'm just like I priced it to what I felt led to price, because it wasn't about, I'm not seeing the people as tools to make money. It's like it's kind of giving them the experience of, what God is leading me to do. And then through that, we help to fund 4 missionaries for a year. We gave to a nonprofit, and, all that through giving. And I look up, and then, like we pay people to do like, to execute like media and all that. And then at the end of it, I look up, it's like what I made in that 1 month was my salary for the last year.
Wow.
I'm like, the math ain't math. How did this happen? Like, you know what I mean? And so it's just like, honestly.
That is true. God's economy is so different, hey, from how we think it is.
Yes. But like I said, like when I tell you giving, like giving to the poor and paying your tithes, that is it right there. Because do anything that you want to do, it's just kind of like that outpour. It's like literally the security,
Mm,
the secret sauce.
that's true. Wow. That is that. I mean, that's not even not a
It's,
secret.
yeah, because it's kind of like even with the business, it relies on that. So wherever we go, like we give.
Hmm. That's true. That's true.
Yes, yes.
And how important is your communication in reaching your target audience?
It's just like God is my PR, honestly, because even all the people who came, I didn't know them. So there's like a few here and there, but I'm just like, wow, how everyone came. And of course, doing everything, with excellence starts not when you have something of your own, but doing things when you're serving other people. You know what I mean? So it didn't just so happen, oh, when I have a business, I'm just going to do things well. Like it happened before then when I was a flight attendant doing things like over beyond and all that. And when I was working for free, like doing it as if I was, making $1 million. Like, so it doesn't just switch on all of a sudden. It's part of who you are, like DNA, like your natural, and so when you're entrusted with small and you do well, you're going to continue, you know,
Wow.
and if you just halfway do things, when you have a business, it's going to be the same thing. You're just going to halfway do things. You're not going to really, care in a sense. It's like if a person, like what I'm saying, like even through giving, like to the poor, it's like they can't give anything back to you, but you're still giving. And so it's when you do something well, you may not get something back in return, but it's still like you're still doing things well with excellence. So it's not about,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
yeah,
not
because
about,
even in business, like, there's times where it's not always well. So during that time, I just gonna be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna halfway do it because, things aren't going well right now. It's like you
yeah,
continue to
that's
do the
true.
yes, and it becomes, like a standard.
That's amazing. And I think I'm going to end with this last question, Jules. Can you, how can you encourage someone who is probably listening to our conversation right now and who's thinking about pursuing a passion in their heart for a certain business or a brand, and they are really, really just scared? What are like the two encouragements that you can give to this person or this uh, organization or brand in mind?
God doesn't give us a spirit of fear, but a power and love and a sound mind. So it's like, if it was just you and God and no one else, would you do it? So it's kind of like, who else have you been listening to? Who has been in your ear? And just to stay focused on that. And God is going to fund it. Just put one step in front of the other and think about one thing at a time, and then it will happen. So, yeah, God is going to bring people. And just for you to even have an idea already is amazing because a trust factor in a sense. So you have an idea and just move forward. As you move, God moves. So if you're just sitting there like, oh, wondering, just literally move and God will move for real.
Yeah, for real. 100%. Thank you so much, Jules. If somebody wants to book a retreat, where do they go? How can they get hold of you and Brave by Faith?
Yes, they can go to bravebyfaith.travel. It's on Instagram, and our website is bravebyfaith.com.
Thank you so much, Jules. It has been an incredible, incredible conversation. And we are cheering you on, and cannot wait what the Lord has for Brave by Faith Travel. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. This episode was brought to you by serveyoucare.co.uk.